Urban legends are typically fictional tales, oftentimes passed around small towns or villages with little to no factual evidence. However, some urban legends are much more than just tall tales, having deep-rooted backstories and plenty of eyewitness accounts to back them up. Number 5. Carl Eder. Carl Alfred Eder was a 16-year-old teenager who became homeless in the fall of 1958. Thomas Pendergast, a family man and father of 4, noticed the teen hitchhiking along the San Diego freeway and offered him a ride, later inviting him to stay at his home until he got a job and got back on his feet. 2 months later, in December of 1958, Thomas Pendergast arrived home to make a shocking discovery. His wife, 4-year-old daughter, 2-year-old son, 6-year-old son, and 9-year-old son had all been murdered by Carl Eder. Eder was quickly detained by the police, and while being interviewed, he told them that Thomas's 4-year-old daughter was being, as he put it, annoying, which angered him. He then got his shotgun, shooting Mrs. Pendergast in the head, then he got a knife and went for the 4-year-old girl, followed by the rest of the family. When Mr. Pendergast arrived home from work, Eder exited the house, asking Mr. Pendergast to drive him around for a bit before making a run for it and fleeing on foot. After this, Mr. Pendergast went back home, at which time he discovered his family. Eder was booked, convicted, and given 2 life sentences for his crimes. However, in 1974, while serving his sentence in a California prison, Eder escaped, never to be seen again. Legend has it that he's still alive and still a free man. Number 4. The Vanishing Hitchhiker. According to legend, travelers of Highway 365 often encounter a young girl walking in the pouring rain in a torn white dress, asking for a ride. Some say they have stopped to pick the girl up, claiming to drive her to her nearby home. However, when they arrive, the driver reports of turning around to discover the girl has suddenly disappeared. Some have gone as far as to knock on the front door of the home, which is then answered by a woman who says the young child used to live there but was killed in an accident many years ago. Another telling of this legend says that a man once stopped to give her his jacket. The story goes, a young man was driving down Highway 365, south of Little Rock, Arkansas, when he saw a young girl on the roadside. He offered to give her a lift and draped his coat over her shoulders because she was cold and soaked in the rain. She gave him directions to her house, and when he arrived, the young man got out of his car and walked around to the other side to help her out of her seat. But no one was there. Confused, the man walked up to the house and knocked on the door. A woman answered and she explained what had just occurred. She said, "The young girl is my daughter who was killed years ago. She hitchhikes back home once a year." The man then drove to the cemetery to see the girl's grave, wanting proof. There, he found his coat draped over her tombstone. Number 3. Route 107 Hitchhiker. A book by the name of South Carolina Ghosts gives an account of a man who is repeatedly seen hitchhiking down Highway 107, typically on nights when it's storming. Many drivers who have encountered this man claim that he has a rather terrifying appearance. He's always wearing a long, dark overcoat, is always traveling in the rain, and when he enters the driver's car, he is soaking wet, leaving pools of water behind. They also say his face is expressionless and void of emotion. He will only ever ask to be dropped off 2 miles from where he was first picked up and vanishes immediately afterward without ever saying thank you or even goodbye. Many people believe that he's the ghost of Larry Stevens, who fell to his death in a plane crash in a forest near Highway 107 in the 1950s on a dark, stormy night. Legend says that he attempted to hitchhike a ride home but never made it, as his body was never found. Locals report that his soul has been trapped in the forest ever since, and his restless spirit is still desperate to get home to his family. Number 2. The Mystery of Orange Socks. For over 30 years, a woman who was found dead in a concrete culvert just off of Interstate 35 has been known simply as Orange Socks. The Texas Department of Public Safety is still asking the public for help identifying the woman, whose murder was carried out by the infamous Henry Lee Lucas. A program supervisor for the Department of Public Safety's Missing Persons Clearinghouse says, "Someone somewhere knows who this woman was. We want to find out who she is and be able to finally give her a real name, not a nickname. We want to know who her family is, and we want her family to know what happened to her." Henry Lucas, who confessed to over 600 murders nationwide, was convicted in 1984 of strangling Orange Socks. Her body was dumped near Georgetown, about 35 miles north of Austin in Williamson County, on Halloween 1979. After her body was found, Lucas confessed to her murder 4 separate times, but no witnesses or physical evidence tied Lucas to the case, though after his confession, a jury in San Angelo convicted him and sentenced him to death row. This was after he had 8 additional murder convictions in Texas and 1 in West Virginia, but only the Orange Socks case provided a death sentence. Many refused to believe that Lucas actually killed Orange Socks due to the lack of evidence placing him at the scene of the crime, though an Attorney General's investigation proved that he may have been in Florida at the time that she was killed, providing just enough evidence to keep him in prison. However, George W. Bush later removed Lucas's death sentence in 1998, changing it to a life sentence, after which he passed away in 2001. Texas officials are now re-releasing a drawing of Orange Socks, along with a detailed portrait of an oval-shaped ring made of an abalone shell that she was wearing. They describe her as white, in her mid-20s, 5 feet 9 inches tall, and weighing 135 to 140 pounds. She had brown hair with a reddish tint, hazel eyes, and pierced ears. Her teeth were in good condition with no evidence of dental work. In Lucas's 1983 confession, he provided police with what he thought was her name, saying, "I think her name was Joannie or Judy, I don't remember exactly." Though Tricia Blake, a researcher at the Missing Persons Clearinghouse, said investigators don't put much stock in that confession, given Lucas's track record for potentially misleading statements. She said he confessed to all kinds of things. When we do have a lead that comes in and the name pops up, the hackles go up a bit, but we're certainly not limiting it to a name. Investigators have put out a call for information twice before, once in 1998 before Lucas's execution, and again in 2001. The Orange Socks case was featured twice on America's Most Wanted television program, and hundreds of leads came in from around the country, with the most promising lead being a couple years ago from a California resident. A woman and her brother-in-law saw the drawing of Orange Socks online. The woman told Texas authorities that her sister had been missing since traveling to Texas in the late 70s with an abusive boyfriend. She was last seen hitchhiking along a back road where it's believed she may have been kidnapped. Investigators became hopeful when a photo of the missing woman looked strikingly similar to Orange Socks, but DNA analysis proved it wasn't her. Orange Socks remains buried in a grave marked Unidentified Woman in Georgetown, and authorities say the case will remain open until she's identified. Number 1. The Browning Road Hitchhiker. There's a lonely stretch of road in California that's become the permanent resting place for the spirit of a young lady who's believed to have passed away there decades ago. Locals in the area are very interested in the paranormal, but according to them, this tale is no legend, it's absolute fact. They say that the young lady was crossing Browning Road early in the morning when she was hit by a car, killing her almost instantly. Many insist that the road is now haunted, and to prove it, they say there's no need to look any further than her roadside memorial. As you drive down Browning Road, you may notice a small memorial alongside the street. Many believe it was placed there in memory of the woman who was killed, considering that her death is the only one believed to have been reported in that area. Residents also insist that if you visit the area, you do not want to visit alone, as the Browning Road ghost isn't as harmless as some of the other ghosts you may have heard about. The majority of travelers who have reported seeing her said that she appeared to hesitate as she crossed the street, almost as if reliving the day she was tied to the area forever. However, she isn't always this passive, with countless stories of her terrifying drivers in the area. It's believed that she is angry at the fact that she lost her life so early, so she lashes out on those driving by. She's been known to appear in the back seat of cars, terrorize drivers, or even choke them until they lose control of their vehicles. If you're somehow lucky enough to escape her grasp, she may suddenly appear in front of you, causing you to swerve around her, possibly resulting in a crash. A couple of drivers who managed to escape an encounter with the ghost claim she had chased their cars for quite some time. A group of paranormal investigators once flashed their car's headlights in an attempt to attract her, but were horrified when she appeared next to the driver's window and began clawing at them. Another witness called out to the ghost mockingly as a dare, only to discover her in the back seat with her face immediately beside his frightened girlfriend's. A couple then reported that she grabbed a hold of their car, crawling underneath, tearing out parts until it could no longer run. So, as exciting as the thought of coming across a hitchhiking ghost may seem, you probably don't want to make the mistake of provoking this one.
For the name of that road. If this story sounds familiar to any of you guys, please post it in the comments. I would love to hear the name of that road, because I'm sure that there are more stories about that. To any of you guys, please post it in the comments. I would love to hear the name of that road, because I'm sure that there are more stories.
Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to click that like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe and check out our channel for all of our future videos.